Thanks so much for...
Whoa, buddy, put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Dukes Show.
I have 2 guns, one for each of you.
Firearms Friday.
As Thomas Jefferson stated, it is the right and duty of the people to be at all times armed.
Say hello to my little friend.
I say that the Second Amendment is, in order of importance, the First Amendment. The right to keep and bear arms is the one right that allows rights to exist at all.
The Michael Dukes Show. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Firearms.
From my cold, dead hands.
Friday.
Here's my rifle, this is my gun, this is for fun, and this is for fun.
Firearms Friday.
Firearms Friday. Good morning, my friends, and welcome back to the program. It is that favorite day of the week where we get a chance to talk about issues related to the Second Amendment and so much more. It is just an amazing day out there this morning. Up here on top of the world in beautiful Homer, up on Diamond Ridge, there is not a cloud in the sky. There's this big orange ball sitting up over the hill. I don't know what it is. I haven't seen it in days, but it is amazing. Absolutely amazing. What a beautiful kickoff for the weekend. Thanks for coming in and joining us today for Firearms Friday, that one day a week that we dedicate to talking about the Second Amendment and all the great stuff that I've been wanting to talk about all week. There's all kinds of stories today related to guns and the Second Amendment and so much more. So let's get ready to get into it today. Lots of good headlines and stories. We also are going to open up the phone lines again for gun Q&A, what we like to call questions and answers. The whole premise of Firearms Friday is to help listeners and not, as I've said many times before, Firearms Friday is not about it's not about people who are pro-gun, right? I mean, I'm glad that many of you enjoy listening and enjoy talking with us and all that kind of stuff. But Firearms Friday is about the people who are gun curious, who are not necessarily pro-gun, they're not necessarily anti-gun, but somewhere in the middle, right? So maybe we can pique their interest. Maybe we can answer some questions. Maybe, just maybe, we can help demystify the firearm for them and encourage them to exercise their own, rights as well. And so phone lines are up. I'll go ahead and we'll just turn the phone lines open to you, the public, this morning. If you have a question related to guns or the Second Amendment or firearms or laws or anything else, well, we're here for you. 319-527-3864. 319-527-3864. And if you disagree with my premise that the Second Amendment is a fundamental right, that people should have the right to keep and bear arms, regardless of where they are, with pretty much absolutely, in my mind, no restrictions, because that, by the way, is what shall not be infringed actually means, then I encourage you to give me a call and tell me why. And let's have an honest, forthright conversation about it. That's what I'm here for. And if I'm here to answer a question, and maybe I don't know the answer to the question because, well, I've probably got better chops than most folks on gun laws, rights, tips, tricks, tactics, and everything else. If I don't have the answer, well, I've got we can crowdsource it. My Google foo is strong, and I got a whole bunch of listeners who are super smart about this kind of stuff. I do have some of the smartest listeners in the world. So we can answer all those questions as well. So again, if you want to call in, 319-527-3864 is the phone number for the show today. And of course, we're going to be doing gun stuff all throughout the show this morning until, of course, we finish up with our friend Willie Waffle from wafflemovies.com, who will be joining us for our weekend entertainment review. It'll be all the entertainment news that's fit to print, plus streaming and movies and reviews and stuff like that. So it's all good. It's all good. All right. So that's this morning. All right. Well, we've got to get things started. And I think we will take it. I think we'll take it from good news, bad news. We'll take the bad news first. And unfortunately, the bad news for gun owners, and we've been taking a lot of wins lately. Don't think we haven't. I mean, whether we've got the Hearing Protection Act is now in the reconciliation bill. We're trying to see where this is going to go, but we're seeing. Although I have seen some commentary online about how getting the HPA into the reconciliation instead of as a standalone bill on its own is a loss. I saw some commentary on that this week, and I guess I don't understand the motivation of that kind of attitude. That because, I mean, look, I'm an absolutist when it comes to the Second Amendment. I am probably more pro Second Amendment than most people realize. I mean, I talk about the show, I do everything else, but again, I firmly believe that people should have the right to keep and bear arms. Yes, even if they had been a criminal in the past, but if they paid their debt to society and they're not actively out there committing crime, people should have the right to defend themselves. And yes, pretty much anything. Machine gun, yeah, I believe people should have access to them, regular, righteous access to them. Flamethrowers, okay. I mean, if that's your jam and you want to do something, that's great. I am an absolutist when it comes to that. But I'm also very reticent of what the reality is. And in the reality, we have to, I've become an incrementalist, meaning if we can even fall a little bit towards more freedom, I'm all for it. I would have loved to have seen the HPA, the Hearing Protection Act, or the previous Hush Act, or any of these other bills. I would love to have seen all of these bills come and stand on their own 2 feet, and be able to put forward, be able to have them put forward and stand forward on their own. But the political reality is that that was just not going to happen. And so getting it into the reconciliation bill was the best hope that we could have. And I'm happy that we were able to I'm happy that it's been able to get in there. Now, again, there's a lot of folks out there who are lamenting the fact that it's not a win because we didn't get it to stand forward on their own. A lot of times they slipped a lot of things into different bills that have taken away our freedoms, whether it's Second Amendment or other freedoms, one little bit at a time. And they've done it by slipping them into other bills or putting them in reconciliation bills or doing some of these other things. We're just taking ground back in the other direction. So while, I admit I would love to see a more purist approach to reconciling and to restoring our freedoms, I will take any win that I can get. Any ground that we can take is a win on this. And so I don't think that anybody who's listening to this show is going to think that the HPA in a reconciliation bill is a loss, or we're going to treat it as such. But if you know somebody who's talking this way or whatever, just tell them, hey, shut up, take the win. Just shut up and take the win. Fingers crossed we can get this across the finish line. But as of right now, this is the best choice we had. This is the choice we have. Now, yeah, Brian just made the comment, and this is not firearms related, but if we do accept it, it's going to require the acceptance of a bill that does increase the debt. But again, that's inevitable at this point, folks. I don't know. All talking aside, all doging aside, all big bluster aside, I am not seeing the president really truly making the cuts that we had hoped that would be made. Not that he could do it unilaterally, but we're just not seeing the appetite that we saw 5 months ago for cuts in the size and scope of government. I think this train, much like what's going on in the state of Alaska, this train is eventually going to have to run off the tracks. And but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Like I said, I'm willing to take the win on this because of the Second Amendment attributes of it. Congress is going to do what it's going to do with monies and the debt and the spending and everything else. I don't see how I don't see how we pull back from that precipice. I don't. It's just, it's more of the same. And I'm sure there's a lot of great justifications for the spending in the bill and for everything else, but the bottom line is it's a win. And if it gets across the finish line, we should all be happy. But, we got here through incrementalism is what I'm saying. We didn't get here all in one fell swoop where we lost a bunch of rights overnight, and it was all gradual, inch by inch, turning things around. And this is an opportunity for us to go the other direction, utilizing the same tactics. So I think we should, and we should be excited about it. But I do want to talk about this actually started out as a conversation about SCOTUS, didn't it? So we're going to talk a little bit about the decision that came down this week from the Supreme Court, and it's a bit of a disappointment. This one is a true, it's a loss, not a loss of the war, not even a loss of the battle, but a loss of a major skirmish. And it's kind of, I've kind of scratching my head on some of the reasoning given by our Supreme Court especially in light of the fact that these are the same folks that voted for in favor and ruled in favor of the Bruin decision. There's a lot of, again, as I read some of the justifications and some of the things that are going on, there's a lot of head scratching going on, because essentially you have a lot of districts and jurisdictions around the country that are given the finger to the Supreme Court, district courts and state courts that are basically looking at the Supreme Court in the decision, especially in the light of the Bruin decision. And they're saying, not going to do it. Not going to do it. And the Supreme Court's is decided to kind of take it for now. And I don't understand that, that's my question. All right. Well, we're going to continue on. We're going to take, we'll also take any calls that you've got. I see we've got some questions, some Q&A questions in the chat room, which we can answer as well. Let me put a little star by this so that I know to go back to Jeffrey's question here. But let's take a break. That's where we're at right now. We're going to take a break. All right. We'll be back. Don't go anywhere. The Michael Dukes Show, common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. We'll return right after this on your home for common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio.
If you missed the show, you can listen to it on your time with Dukes On Demand. Oh, and it's free. Like America used to be. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay, we're in the break. Good morning, my friends. I forgot to turn the comments on. Sorry about that. I mean, they're on, but, not on the screen. Now they'll be on the screen. How are you guys this morning? Brian's got an exciting weekend. He's got a super exciting weekend this week. Brian does, because his washer parts just showed up. His washing machine parts just showed up. So it's great. Good morning, Timothy, over on YouTube. Thanks for coming in and joining us. Two sunny days in a row for Ninilchik. What are the odds? I mean, it's nice out there today. And of course, I don't hold my breath. We've lived up here for 6 months on top of the hill up here, overlooking downtown beautiful Homer. And I have never seen weather change faster than up here on the hill. I mean, it's crazy. It'll be beautiful and nice. And 25 minutes later, we'll be socked in like we're sitting in the middle of a cloud. It's crazy. It's crazy. But the sky is blue. All I see is blue and that big Bernie ball in the sky, which means that, fingers crossed, Harborfest tomorrow will be amazing. It's all I can ask. If you guys aren't planning on coming down to Homer for Harborfest, you're going to be missing out. It's going to be a huge deal, and I'm super excited about it. It's our first year. I had a small hand in helping bring all this together. It's going to be an amazing thing, and I hope you guys are planning on coming down tomorrow for Harborfest. Let's see. I'm going through some of the comments here. David says, I hope the HPA wasn't put into the big, beautiful bill as a sacrificial pawn to be removed later to entice Democratic favor. It's a possibility. These people are playing politics all the time. It's always a possibility, but I like you, hope not, for sure. Frank has a question. And you know what? I love Frank, but I can't just tell if he's just trolling really hard or if it's an honest question. But I'll bite. I'll be your huckleberry. I'll be your huckleberry. He says, my question is, when I open carry my 45 Springfield, no one hardly bats an eye. But when I carry one of the most solid firearms in this country, the Winchester Model 94 30-30, which is a lever action rifle, by the way, I will be stopped by law enforcement, ID'd, stopped by store risk management, asked to leave. Why does this happen? I think you know why it happens, Frank, because you make people uncomfortable. And I'm not saying that that is right that they feel uncomfortable. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have the right, but at some point you got to ask the question, hearts and minds, baby. Hearts and minds. Are you really furthering the Second Amendment or the love of the Second Amendment by freaking out all the straight people walking around with a rifle? Like I said, there's nothing more discouraging than walking into a Starbucks with a guy who's got, an AR-15 strapped across his back. As a guy who conceals carry, that would make me on high alert. You know what I mean? Just because is somebody just making a comment, and not just for the guy who's carrying the gun, but as we talked about last week, where people had their guns taken off of them and then used in the commission of a crime. I'm a little concerned about that. This is again why I have such an antithesis to open carry. Not that it should be illegal, not that it shouldn't be allowed, but that I personally would not do it. Yes, but think about how and what they carry in Israel. Yes, but there is a little bit of a cultural difference in Israel, since all those people have mandatory service, and many times they're walking around off duty with their rifles. That's a different deal. In America, they've treated everything like this is the end of the world and that we're Mogadishu. And so, of course, people are scared and worried and upset. And the businesses are just doing what businesses do. They're trying to make it the safest, most comfortable, most inviting environment for their. Let's talk about this.
What the hell is an assault weapon?
If we could just figure out how to get all of the murder guns and the attack guns and not keep selling those to people and just sell protection guns, I think that would be great and solve a lot of problems.
Does this mean that if we hurt your feelings, you'd consider the Michael Dukes Show assault radio? Okay, we can live with that. Here's Michael Dukes.
Okay, welcome back to the program. It is Firearms Friday, and we're taking calls, we're taking questions. And we got a couple questions in the chat room that I do want to address. I want to get to this SCOTUS thing, but this question during the break is kind of, it's made me thoughtful. Okay, so let me just start here. Let me just start here. The first question was from Jeffrey, and I think this is a great legitimate question. Jeffrey says, as a question, a firearms question, other than the purse, how do our feminine members conceal carry? He says he's asking for a daughter, and he's talking about members of the chat room, members of the 6 o'clock club. Other than the purse, how do our feminine members conceal carry? And that's a legitimate question. That's the difference between what they call on-the-body carry or off-the-body carry. Off-the-body carry would be when your firearm is in a purse or a briefcase or a satchel or, anything like that. And my answer to that, Jeffrey, would be, well, pretty much like most other people. Most of the ladies out there, wear pants or, wear other outfits that are comparable to what, we men would wear. So why they couldn't carry in a belt held holster or inside the waistband, they could do all those things. Now, a lot of times, if what ladies are wearing I mean, you're not going to be wearing a Glock strapped to the inside of your yoga pants, right? There's going to have to be some trade-offs to this. And so a good concealed carry purse is not a bad choice. Although it behooves you. Have you seen the belt loops on women's pants? Yes, I have. They're definitely small, and you'd have to get a reinforced belt to be able to do it. I understand. I'm not saying it's the perfect solution. I'm saying this actually creates a problem for women because their situational awareness when they are carrying concealed, especially if it's off the body, in a purse or a clutch or a satchel or a bag, is much higher. You can't leave your purse in the shopping cart while you walk 20 feet down the aisle to pick something up off the shelf. Just like you wouldn't leave your cell phone sitting in your shopping cart while you walk away for, 10, 15, 20 feet with your back turned. You're not going to leave your purse there. Your purse is going to essentially have to be, strapped across the body, over the shoulder, across the body kind of thing. You're going to have to be ultimately aware on this. And there's going to be some sacrifices. There's going to be some trade-offs. You are going to have to spend maybe a little bit more on durable equipment. And what I mean by that is Brian makes a valid point in the chat room when he says, have you seen the size of have you seen the belt loops on a woman's, on women's pants? That's part of the problem is you have to be, you have to be able to sustain and hold up the holster mechanism for your firearm. And we've all seen how floppy belts, weak synthetic belts or even a thin men's dress belt that may be leather, they're usually not sturdy enough to hold up to be able to hold that holster with a pistol in it inside your waistband in a proper all-day fashion. It's a tough thing. There are other concealed carry methods. There's the, things like the flashbang holster. They call it the flashbang. It's a clever naming convention that essentially has a holster for a smaller pistol, like a 380 size pistol, that is attached to the bottom of the brassiere. And so it hangs underneath the shelf of the bosom, underneath the clothes. And so you'll essentially lift the front of your shirt up to the bottom of your bra and draw your pistol out. Hence the name flashbang, right? And that's another, although I can't imagine that's I can't imagine what 10 hours a day wearing something like that would feel. I mean, there are days when if I'm doing a lot of walking around or doing a lot of up and down and things like that, you start to feel your pistol by the end of the day on your hip, let alone being hung around your neck. That's kind of a deal. But yeah, I mean, the problem is that for women, there's going to be compromises to be able to count concealed carry and do it. I was going to say respectfully, but that's not what I want. Responsibly. There we go. Whew, man, getting old. So, to do it responsibly, there's going to be some trade-offs. There's going to be some things that we have some advantages, we've got a few. It's just one more advantage for the patriarchy is that it is a little bit easier to be able to do something like that. Now Anthony has just dropped a link in a chat room that has got my interest up. It's to a place called Gun Goddess, women's holsters, concealed carry, and everything else. It's based on this. And his comment is, I see they've got some things here. His comment is, sent my wife there to go shopping to gungoddess.com, and she now stopped carrying in the purse. So there are other options out there. because again, the problem with the purse is that it is on the body. It is off the body, and it usually would be the first thing if somebody's going to try and get, boy, they just made a liar out of me. This chick is actually wearing yoga pants with a Glock stuffed in the back of it. That is impressive. I don't know how well it works, but that is impressive. If you can wear if you could wear a pair of yoga pants with that's impressive. But the bottom line is that there are ways to find things out. But if you are a lady that's going to go out, and especially if you carry in your purse, you need to be fully conscious and aware of where that purse is in relation to your body at all times. That's just how it is. So Jeffrey, that was a very, very long answer to your very short question. It's so there are ways to do that. Anthony says, all you ladies can check out that website. It's Crazy Gun Guy Wife approved. So there you go. Wow, Teresa is really pulling one out from for the ladies team. She says Sergeant Lacey's character on that old TV show Cagney and Lacey was usually wearing a dress or a skirt while carrying her holster. It seemed to be in the lumbar region. Yeah, I mean, small of the back holster, who knows? It could have been TV magic, but there are ways. I mean, there's belly bands, there's strapping bands that you can use. There's, all kinds of things. But again, you're going to have to, your mileage may vary. Your mileage may vary on this. And Brian is recommending that you check out a YouTube channel called She Equips Herself. So I haven't seen that or heard that. So your mileage may vary, but you can go check that out. So Jeffrey, I hope that very, very long answer to your very short question was acceptable. There's a lot to unpack on that. There's a lot to unpack on that. Oh, it is D-Day. I was going to say something about that first thing and I got off on a tangent. So thank you, Locke. Today is the memorial of D-Day. So those of you who, we should talk about our favorite World War II battlefield rifle. That's what we should talk about. But the question that really got my goat here, and I think maybe it was intended to get my goat because Frank is always a little controversial in his questioning. He says, my question is, when I open carry my .45 Springfield, no one hardly bats an eye. But when I open carry one of the most solid firearms in the country, the Winchester Model 94 30-30, which is a lever action rifle, I will be stopped by law enforcement, ID'd, stopped by store risk management, asked to leave. Why does this happen? And again, I can't tell if Frank is just trolling me to troll me. If he's trying to make a point, if he's trying to poke a hole at the whole open carry thing or what. But, again, it's all about not freaking out the straight people, right? The non-gun people. That really is what this whole thing is about. My whole job, in my mind, when I talk about Firearms Friday, is trying to win the hearts and minds of people who are, again, not necessarily pro-gun and not necessarily anti-gun. I'm looking to try and educate the folks who are in the middle, who are kind of gun curious. And the idea that you want to win hearts and minds means that you don't play into the preconceived notions or the stereotypes that a lot of the news media has been painting. I mean, gun violence in this country is actually pretty rare. We're talking about a country of 330 million people with an overall homicide rate that hovers around 14,000 people a year in a country of 320 million. And that's all homicides. and a portion of them are guns, you know, yada, yada. But you'd think in listening to the news, you'd think that this is downtown Mogadishu, that at every corner you're going to be gunned down. You see it in the news media. You see it in the opinion makers. You see it in your television shows. You see it in, you know, you see it everywhere. And so, Frank, there are a lot of people that would be nervous to see somebody walking in with walking into Walmart carrying a rifle. And as I said earlier, as a concealed carry holder, if I saw somebody walking in with a rifle, my interest would be piqued, right? I would be on high alert. I would go from, condition orange to condition red immediately, because I have no idea who you are and I don't know what's going on. And I know that a rifle is a very effective tool, as you said. And that makes it more difficult. That's why I have to, I laugh, but at the same time, I'm internally crying when I saw those videos back in the day. This is a few years ago, but, of guys going into Starbucks in, half battle rattle with an AR-15 strapped to their back or a shotgun strapped to their back to order their mocha frappe latte to make some kind of political statement. And I'm just like, you guys you're not helping. Should it be illegal? No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. Please don't hear what I'm not saying. What I'm saying is, you as a responsible gun owner need to take the time to understand what the perception is to you and to your culture. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have a rifle nearby, on hand. I'm not saying you shouldn't have. But again, this is the problem with concealed carry. From a tactical standpoint, one, it makes you an immediate target. From the other standpoint, two, you're not winning hearts and minds most of the time. And for number three, if it is concealed, you are a sheepdog that nobody knows about. Right? So again, I'm not sure what Frank was trying to do other than to bring it up. But I think you know why. I think you know why people are asking you to leave. Because the businesses are trying to make their places of business and their establishments comfortable and an inviting place for their customers. And if you walk in with a rifle and everybody goes to condition brown because they just crapped their pants because some guy just walked in with a rifle, that's probably why they ask you to leave. Not because you're exercising your rights and they want to, violate your rights. It's because you walked into their place of business with a rifle in your hands, and that's a little unsettling to some people, even here in Alaska. So don't be an a-hole. Don't be that guy, is what I'm saying. Leave that in the truck. Carry your pistol so if you can fight your way back to your truck if you need that rifle that you left behind. That's what I'm saying. Not that would probably ever happen, but you know what I mean. So it would be, that's just, again, I know that this was probably a big trolling question for Frank because he loves to spin us up. But yeah. All right. Fred is on the phone. I could see him there hanging out, waiting patiently. We'll get to his phone calls, and I'm going to get to my story about SCOTUS. How does this happen every Friday? I get off on some tangent about something and some story. I want to talk about this fire. I've still got 4 stories from last weekend that we didn't get a chance to talk to. And now I've got like 12 stories that I don't want to rush through anything. But sometimes it feels good to get off on a tangent, doesn't it? All right, we got to go. Back with more of the Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio.
Running on 100% pure beard power. Oh, also some coffee. We dip our beard in coffee.
Ha, nice beard.
The Michael Duke Show.
Terry, that's not nice. Terry says, is the phone going to work today? That's not nice, Terry. Don't jinx me like that. I'm pretty sure it is, because all the lights that are normally supposed to lighting up and all the things, they look good. So that's why I didn't take his call before we went to break, because I want to make sure that he's actually on the phone and he can actually hear me. But it looks like he can. So let's go to the phones and test it. Thank you, Terry, for jinxing it for me. Terry, looking at you. If this doesn't work, it's your fault, Terry. That's all I'm saying. Let's go to the phone and we'll check to see if Fred is there before we wait for the rest of the break. Good morning, Fred. Can you hear me? Are you there?
Loud and clear, Mike. How do you hear me?
Oh, I hear you loud and clear, my friend. Thanks for calling in. Can you hold on here? We'll get through the break and come right back to you.
I'll be right here.
Okay. And I do want to talk a little bit about Rhode Island, because you guys down there are nuts. Nuttier than squirrel poo.
Oh, we got slammed pretty bad.
Oh,
That's
man.
what I'm talking about.
Okay. Well, I'll let you open up the ball on it then, and we'll get to it here when we get back. So hold the line, Fred. Fred's on the line. If for some reason, if I drop out or you stop hearing me, Fred, you'll have to call back, because I'll probably have to restart the phones. But everything appears to be working right this morning. I mean, I don't know, man. I've got this here. Who wants some insight on the inside baseball? Who wants to know some behind the scenes stuff? Which one of you? Say me if you want to know some inside the baseball stuff here, of the technical stuff of the show. I'll share it with you if you want me to share it with you. Otherwise, if you want to know. I'm sorry. It's just realistic expectation, says Anthony. If you walk into a Wendy's equipped for a breach and clear, you're going to make yourself a person of interest, since most people don't need a full tactical response kit to buy a Baconator combo. Somebody's going to call the cops who's going to have the duty to make sure you're not a psychopath and an ID and detain you, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. No, agreed, Anthony. Absolutely agreed. Should not be a surprise to you if they show up. That's what I'm saying. All right, insider baseball. 2 people said they're interested. The rest of you could care less. I see how it is. Part of the thing is that the computer that I'm using to stream the show and do all this work is 8 years old now. I just was doing the math the other day, and I was like, now it's been upgraded a couple times, and I've done a bunch of work to it and everything else, but I just realized that it is 8 years old. I bought all the pieces and parts, and I built it in 2016. So it's almost 9 years old. Now, again, it's been upgraded and had better parts and pieces and everything else. But this is part of my problem. I think I'm getting to the point to where I just need to, and I have all the pieces for a brand new computer. I've got all the pieces and parts, but I've been busy the last 10 months. I collected all the parts till middle last year, and I was going to build a new computer. And when I went on Christmas break last year, I was going to build a new PC, because it takes a few days because it takes a lot to set all the stuff up on these things once, and of course I was in the middle of moving to Homer, so I didn't do that. But I have all the pieces and parts. I think it's probably time to retire this old girl and put something new up. So we'll see. We'll see. But, We'll see how it goes. Anyway, that was the behind the scenes stuff. I mean, I do have some North Korean era, Vietnam era equipment around here. It's not really that bad, but I've also got some new what's funny is that I got some new high speed stuff that I've been using for the last couple of years, and I've got it all tied to this old computer. You should just be impressed at how savvy I am to be able to keep this thing running. That's what you should be impressed by. All right, Frank says, good thing when law enforcement makes contact with me, they don't disassemble my 3030. Well, that's probably because most of them don't know how to. That's what I'm saying. Most of them probably don't know how to. As far as the store goes, they are private property, so they can set the rules. You can carry your Quigley down under a rolling block rifle into the bread aisle, but they also have the right to trespass you from the property. Yeah. Melissa said, my computer is 6 years old, but its guts got replaced in February. Yeah, no, I mean, I've replaced all kinds of stuff on this computer. I've not replaced the main motherboard. I did replace the processor, put a faster processor in it. And I've replaced hard drives and memory. And I've done a lot of work to it. But it's time to put old Yeller out to pasture. As Brian just said, it's time to put old Yeller out to pasture. So maybe that'll be my weekend project here in the next couple of weeks. We'll see what it comes up with. All right, you heard the ding. You know what that means? It's time to send the bunnies into a fervor. We're sending all the bunnies into a fervor for the gallop, and she hates it when I do. She hates it when I do that.
What the hell is an assault weapon? Does that mean that if we hurt your feelings, you should consider the Michael Dukes Show assault radio? Okay, we can accept that. Here's Michael Dukes. Kind of a dick, but somewhat funny.
My name is not Richard, all right? Just don't tell me. All right, welcome back to the program. Thanks for coming in and joining us. It is Firearms Friday. Phone lines are open at 319-527-3864. Our friend Fred is on the line. He listens every week from Rhode Island, which should now be called the People's Republic of Rhode Island. My God, I don't know what's going on down there, but those guys have lost their ever-loving mind. We're going to get a report from behind the enemy lines here with Fred. Hello, my friend. How you doing?
Oh, hanging in there, Mike, as best I can.
Yeah.
We had the hearing. He had this House hearing yesterday, representatives. And apparently it was like almost, I won't say unanimous, but it was like a 2-to-1 fall for gun control. And this assault weapons, this quote unquote military style assault weapons ban that they've been pushing for, which is based on pure nonsense. I never heard so much BS in my life as to how dangerous these things are and how evil they are. And the small school children in Sandy Hook, they're all murdered. They were murdered by a lunatic. Not a gun. They were murdered by a lunatic. It has nothing to do with the firearm. And the firearm itself, as you well know, and most other gun owners should understand, if they don't already know, that it's no different than any other firearm. They're basing the whole thing on features. Oh, it's got a pistol grip. It's got a collapsible stock. It's got a flash hider. It's got this. It has nothing to do with the performance of it. It's nothing to do with the lethality of it. But they turned it into the most evil of evil inventions since the atomic bomb to come along. And it's pure BS. And one thing I noticed last night, which kind of reinforces everything I've been believing about globalists in the world, the world globalist influence on things in this country, starting with the Second Amendment, is that the fact that they're lockstep. These progressives that are in legislatures, whether it be Rhode Island or any other state, they're all in lockstep. They are uncompromising. They're cannibals. They'll eat their own. And I say that because any progressive or any Democrat who steps out of line with them, they destroy their own. They're cannibals. They're savages.
Yeah,
absolutely. And they're all in lockstep. So nobody steps out of line out of fear that they're going to be crucified by their own if they do. And I think that's the only way that they maintain the control. I don't believe that most of these people actually believe in everything that they're saying. As far as AR-15s and AKs and assault weapons, shotguns with a pistol grip, and all kinds of other nonsense that they managed to dream up. And it being semi-automatic, which has absolutely nothing to do with anything either, because it's still one shot for one trigger pull, which makes it no different than any other firearm. So this is all BS. They talk about lethality. They have no idea what lethality is. You don't believe me? You didn't believe it? Go over to the Middle East and they'll show you what reality. Go to Somalia.
Yeah.
They'll show you what lethality really is.
No, I mean, look, I'm watching this, and this is kind of the height of what's happening around the country when it comes to gun control. Rhode Island has gone. What was the old Robert Downey Jr. Tropic Thunder? You never go full retard. These guys have gone full on retarded on this because they are. I saw some of the testimony. I saw some of the clips that were going on in your House Judiciary Committee, and in your legislature. These people were acting like we live in Mogadishu, and the sky is falling, and there's warlords on every street corner. That's the way that they're acting. Not like 99.94% of all guns are legal and lawfully used with no problems ever. It's only that less than 1% of guns that are being used for bad things. They're treating and lumping all gun owners and anybody who happens to like guns or uses guns or enjoys that or just wants to use it for their protection. They're acting like these people are all assumed criminals or madmen. That's what they're acting like. You would have thought, like you said, that this. Go ahead.
That's their whole point, Mike. Their whole point is to destroy the Second Amendment. They're not going to come out and say that. Although the lieutenant governor did say that, she actually did come out and say it, where she said, "I would be more than happy to take every gun out of Rhode Island once and for all and keep them out forever." That was her lieutenant governor of the state actually came out and said that, which is like, okay, yeah. Now we know what the real game is.
I would have immediately asked her about how's your drug problems in prison? Are you keeping the heroin
they're out of control?
Yeah,
they're off the scale. Are you kidding? Over here, we had over 300 fentanyl deaths last year. Just last year alone, 300 fentanyl deaths. Traffic accidents, drunk DWIs, like triple the number of anything to do with any kind of homicide, whether people with a knife or a gun or a brick.
Well, and I was specifically talking about in prison, though. Fred, that's the height. I would take all the guns out of Rhode Island, and I would do all this, and I would keep them out if I could. If I had the choice, I'd take all the. But again, you've got prisons that are being overrun with heroin and fentanyl and crack and everything else in prison. If you can't keep drugs out of a prison, how are you going to keep guns out of the hands of people who are going to do bad things wherever you are?
Well, that's the whole point. I mean, gun control does absolutely nothing. It's a cottage industry backed by Bloomberg, backed by Soros, to push an agenda that they want to push. And I think they're backed by the globalists. They are backed by the globalists, as a matter of fact. And if you do the research, and you lift the rock up and you see what's sliming around underneath. The globalists are behind this. They're going through Soros, they're going through Bloomberg, they're going through half a dozen other liberal, progressive billionaires who have, the money and the influence and the power to sit there and control people's lives. One thing I should point out: rights are not for sale. My rights, your rights, everybody's rights in this country do not have a price tag on them. I don't give a damn who it is, whether it's Bloomberg or Soros or anybody else, and how big their checkbook is.
Right.
Rights are not for sale. You go down that road, there's going to be real trouble.
So I guess my question is, Fred, because this is now sitting in the House Judiciary, right? It's sitting in the legislature.
It's already been passed through the House. It's now going to the Senate. I hope that the Senate has a little more common sense than those idiots in the House have, because the idiots in the House, they've been taken over by the progressives. They totally sold their soul to the devil, and they're out of control.
Yeah,
completely. And the thing is, though, this is only one. This is the smallest state in the country. The rest of the states, including Alaska, could be next. So this is a heads up.
Yeah,
this is a front row seat to a train wreck. Is what this
is. And I'm sorry, what we're talking about here, what Fred and I are talking about, is an assault weapons ban that they're proposing in Rhode Island. It would essentially prohibit any semi-automatic rifle that takes a detachable magazine. Pretty much any semi-automatic rifle, the detachable magazine that could take more than 10 rounds is going to be illegal. It's a crazy thing. Fred, hold the line for just a second. Folks, we're up against the break. We got more coming up. The Michael Duke Show, Common Sense Radio. We return with Hour 2 right after this. All right. Sorry about that, Fred. I was up against the break. And I wanted to... But
you You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Understood.
But yeah, I mean, this is crazy. I mean, I would think that Rhode Island, and I know you guys have stood up to the legislature in the past, that there's a huge number of gun supporters and gun owners in Rhode Island who are very vocal. And
it's massive. The thing is, though, you know, you have the minority who thinks that they're the majority, who think that they have all.
I'm sorry, Fred. I accidentally muted you. I apologize. You have the majority.
Okay,
you have the majority that thinks you're the minority. You thinks you're the minority.
Well, yeah. Well, the minority, the progressives, think that they're going to control the whole show. You know, they think that they have it all, and they're totally uncompromising. You know, like I said, once they came up with, God, I'm like 20 or 30 amendments that they're trying to put into it, and every one of them was shot down, which tells you. They get their lockstep control over their body, over their progressive liberal, democratic body. And there's a handful of Democrats that didn't go along with it who are opposed to the bill. I'm sure they're going to catch an earful. But I'm just saying that the bulk majority of them are lockstepped in, and they don't dare step out of line. And that's wrong. That's 1938 Nazism all over again.
Right.
Get out of line, we'll take you down.
Well,
that's wrong.
We're keeping you in our thoughts and prayers, Fred. Living over there behind enemy lines. I mean, at some point, if I was in a state that did, I would have to consider bailing out at that point. At some point, you got to realize the battle.
Well, I am. I'm definitely considering selling everything and moving somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alaska would be nice. A little cold.
Yeah. But I hear Tennessee is nice. So I hear Tennessee is pretty nice. So it's not a bad choice. Yeah. All right, Fred. Well, thank you for calling in, my friend. It's always good to hear from you. Thanks for being part of the show today.
Take care, Michael.
All right. Appreciate it. That leaves the phone lines open at 319-527-3864. If you want to sound off. Bill. Man. Bill, he always throws us a good curveball every now and then. Let's I'm sorry. I'm so juvenile sometimes, and Bill just plays right into my juvenileness sometimes. Small population, too much inbreeding in Rhode Island? ? I don't know, but that is the crazy thing going on there in Rhode Island. I don't know how you would say. I mean, yeah, I would immediately be looking for parts for greener grass at some point. If they get this across and they get this across the finish line and they push this through, I definitely am thinking about I would definitely be thinking about a whole new location for me and my family, because there's no way that they're going to come in and try and restrict those rights in that way. It's shocking. It's shocking but this is the world we live in. This is the world we live in right now. Anthony says, I'm willing to have a conversation about gun restrictions once these uneducated idiots in charge can clarify what a quote-unquote assault weapon actually is beyond the color or ergonomics of the weapons platform. Yeah. I mean, what makes an AR-15 any more intrinsically dangerous than a Mini 14 or than a semi-auto in 223 or even a bolt action 223? Nothing. It's all simply semantics and political theater. That's what it's all about out there. Okay. I think I'm all caught up. Look at this. I'm all caught up on the deal. Locke says it's D-Day. All hail the M1 Garand. Not a bad gun to hail on this day. On this big D-Day. I think in celebration, I might watch. I haven't watched it in, must be 25 years now. I have not watched Saving Private Ryan. That would be a heck of today. This would be a good weekend to watch Saving Private Ryan, I think, again. I'd say watch Band of Brothers, but I don't know where I've got a set of DVDs. I've got the box set of Band of Brothers, and I don't know where it is. But that would be another great one to watch. Bryant says, to paraphrase Potter Stewart, I know one when I see one. Talking about assault weapons. I'll know one when I see one. Yeah, that's when you get to the subjectiveness of laws. That is like the ultimate holy grail of subjective laws. I'll know one when I see one. I'll know a lawbreaker when I see one. I don't know exactly what he did, but I know he broke the law. All right. Well, we're up against it. Let's get back to it. Here we go. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio, hour 2. I don't know how we got to hour 2 already, but it's dead ahead. Let's get cracking on it. Here we go.
Whoa, buddy. Put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Duke Show.
I have 2 guns, one for each of you.
Firearms Friday.
As Thomas Jefferson stated, it is the right and duty of the people to be at all times armed.
Say hello to my little friend.
I say that the Second Amendment is, in order of importance, the First Amendment. The right to keep and bear arms is the one right that allows rights to exist at all.
The Michael Duke Show. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Firearms.
From my cold, dead hands.
Friday.
This is my rifle, this is my gun, this is for fire, this is for fun.
Firearms Friday.
Firearms Friday, your chance to sound off on issues of a 2A nature right here on the Michael Duke Show. Good morning, my friends, and welcome to the program. Thanks for coming in and joining us today. It is that one beautiful day of the week. It's a big, beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. It's big. It's beautiful. Where we get a chance to talk about the Second Amendment and gun rights and gun control and all the facets surrounding the gun culture here in America. Phone lines are open today. If you would like to sound off, somebody said the other day, "Well, you don't say the number enough when the phones are open." So I'll say the phone number a lot, I guess, here. 319-527-3864. 319-527-3864. If you would like to sound off, we'd love to hear from you. If you've got a question or a comment about guns or anything that we've talked about related to the Second Amendment here in the first hour of the show, now is the time to do it. Now is the time to sound off and talk about it. You know, we live in a day and age where people are getting desperate, especially the control freaks, especially those that believe that government is the solution to every problem and that we pesky, rugged individualists, we constitutional absolutists, we Second Amendment supporters, we've got to be stopped for any reason. And they will turn anything to their advantage. They will turn any issue to their issue. And it's almost to the point now where you're like, what? I mean, what? Let's hear what Jamie Raskin had to say about gun control.
Across the country, we are still in the midst of a gun violence epidemic. So we need to be acting with due concern for human life. I mean, this is why, of course, we have been fighting for a universal violent criminal background check. We are for a ban on military-style assault weapons in the country. Our lax gun laws are a danger to everybody in America, and that's something that we can act with some legislative determination to turn around. But people have got to lead their lives, and people need to act with courage, but it is the responsibility of government to try to keep everybody safe from random arbitrary violence and bigotry and hate motivated crimes.
So first of all, the gun violence epidemic. We're in the middle of a gun violence epidemic. And then going on to talk about violent criminal universal background checks and all. What do you think Jamie was responding to? I mean, was he responding to a school shooting? Was he responding to some kind of mass shooter event? Was he responding to? No. What Jamie was responding to was the Boulder terror attack, where a man who was in the country illegally targeted a group of it was the group that was trying to highlight and raise awareness for the hostages that are still being held in Gaza. This guy is an Egyptian national who is in the country illegally, and he was screaming "Free Palestine" before he attacked with Molotov cocktails and a homemade flamethrower. But don't worry. This is all about gun violence. And we needed a criminal background check. We needed universal violent criminal. That was the first time I'd ever heard that phrase. Universal violent criminal background checks. I mean, that's a mouthful. But again, that segment was all about the Boulder attack, where this guy set on fire a bunch of people with a lot of, and I haven't seen any pictures or anything of the homemade flamethrower, but the pictures that they have show that he had a bunch of Molotov cocktails, which are essentially made with, stuff that you have laying around the house at the gas station, right? No background check required on those household items. But these guys have got to turn everything they back towards gun control. That this was this is a horrific attack. It's obviously, a hate crime. Not that makes it any better or worse. I mean, does it make it better if you commit a crime against somebody? Does it matter if you hate them or not? You've still committed the crime against them. I've never understood that escalator of the hate crime thing. I'm like, does it make it that much more egregious? To me, it would be much more egregious if you were relatively indifferent and you wanted to kill somebody. You're just like, yeah, whatever. Bam. Okay. Yeah, whatever. Did what I wanted to do. I mean, versus hating them. To me, that would be kind of scarier. If you're full of hate and impassioned about it, I mean, I can't necessarily understand it, but at least there's some kind of component you can rationalize. But if you're just kind of like, meh, I just decided to kill somebody today. Could have been him. Doesn't matter which one. That's even scarier. But this is what they do. They manage to twist anything that's going on. This was a terror attack, right? I mean, essentially, they managed to twist anything into a pitch for gun control. And to me, as we see they're getting more and more desperate, they're getting more and more twisty and kind of, again, that it disconnected, like it's the non sequitur of the year. I think it was Ed Morrissey over at Hot Air who said something about David Axelrod basically winning the non sequitur of the year award because he was asked about this. David Axelrod was during a piece over on CNN about this Boulder situation and the attack and everything else, and it was handed off to him, and he goes on to say, listen, Jake, I'm the son of a Jewish refugee who escaped his home. His home was blown up, and he escaped from actually Ukraine back in the day and came here to seek refuge. And so, I feel very, very deep. I haven't come to this lately. I felt very deeply on this issue, and I think questions will be asked about how this guy tried to get a gun. Because apparently he's in the country illegally, but he had attempted to get a gun and couldn't do it because he couldn't get, the law worked, essentially. He couldn't get to it. And so of all the things that came wrapped up and around all this whole deal, the fact that he's killed people, his political motivations, his wanting to terrorize and do all this kind of stuff, David Axelrod somehow walks this whole thing back around to be, I think questions will be asked about how this guy tried to get a gun, but didn't get a gun. I mean, it's just, this is nutty. This is kind of the nuttiness that we're seeing in this country with those on the, and again, I think it shows that we are, because their desperation is starting to show. And there was a new poll out for, who was it? It wasn't Monmouth. It was First Gov survey or something, talking about even Democrats, their belief and support of how well they think how they think their own party is handling guns is down like almost 20 points. It'd be still high, but down almost 20 points from just a year ago. This is not a winning issue for them, but they keep coming back to try and make it a winning issue. And it's just not working for them. But this is how they'll do it. And again, that's what I was saying. I mean, Jamie's first sentence there in his comment.
Across the country, we are still in the midst of a gun violence epidemic.
We're still in the midst of a gun violence. Again, they're trying to say it's like we're Mogadishu. People that, my friend Brendan, former producer of the show, friend Brendan, he said he had a friend in Spain that he had invited to come across that was planning on trying to come to America to do some traveling. And he had invited them to come to, I don't know, wrestling or something, because they were both WWE fans or whatever. And basically, his parents talked him out of it because his parents were terrified that he was going to go to America and get shot. Even though this was, that again, this is the mindset and the culture of fear that these people are creating. They're creating a culture of fear where I think in part what they want everybody to do is to turn to the government to save them from this purported fear. Anyway, it's amazing, but this is where we're at right now. All right. One more segment here coming up. I've got to go to break a little early because I want to get into this SCOTUS decision. And I've been putting it off here. So now we're going to get into it before we jump. We got Willie Waffle coming up at the end of the show. And don't forget, tomorrow, it's so bright and sunny out right now. You have no idea. Well, that was 69 minutes. I guess it was an hour ago. There's not a cloud in the sky. Sun is out. It's going to be a beautiful day today in Homer. I'm hoping tomorrow is going to be just as beautiful because we've got Harbor Fest going on down at the Deepwater Dock in Homer tomorrow, starting at 10 a.m. They got a huge boat show. They've got food trucks. They've got live music all starting in the afternoon and going till late in the night. They've got chef competition. They've got art stuff. They've got all kinds of stuff going on down at the first ever Harbor Fest in the Homer Harbor. I'm going to be down there all day. Come on down and say hi. Join us. We're going to be loving it. And it looks like God has smiled on us. Looks like it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful day. That's what I'm hoping. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., Harbor Fest. You can just go to homerharborfest.com. You get your tickets there. All right, we got more coming up. The SCOTUS decision up next. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio.
We're broadcasting live through a series of tubes.
Allowing all of these entities to provide streaming stuff going on the internet.
Well, it's kind of hard to explain. Sorry. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, Lisa. Lisa's joined us in the chat. Yeah, lax gun laws caused the Colorado. Lax gun laws caused the Colorado. I mean, in Colorado. In Boulder, Colorado. Anthony says, I'm a pretty simple guy, but I'm pretty sure making flamethrowers out of Home Depot parts and Molotov cocktails are already illegal, right? Right? David, that's clever. David says, most crimes are hate crimes. Bank robbers hate to be broke. Rapists hate not having sex. Thieves hate not having crack or booze. Speeders hate driving the speed limit, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, again, I've never understood that escalator of it's a hate crime. Again, I would be more afraid of the perpetrator if they weren't hateful. If they're just like, yeah, I just decided to, right? Nothing more creepy than my wife was watching. My wife loves to watch, I call it murder TV, right? Like true crime and, the 48 Dateline and the last 48 or what, where they do these true crime shows, or whatever. And I'm watching this one with her one afternoon because sometimes I get sucked into them as well. And it was this murder in this small town, and several people had been murdered over the course of a couple of years, and they finally catch the guy. And this guy is just he's stone cold in the thing. And they're like, he's confessing in the interview. Yeah, I killed her. Yeah. Why did you kill her? Well, I just wanted to see what it felt like. Just wanted to see how it made me feel, And he goes, and how did it make you feel? He goes, well, not much. Those pesky emotions, I just they were a problem. So I just quit feeling them. And I'm just like, oh my God, I'm like, I want to reach for my gun. This guy is spooky, right? I mean, that's a lot more spooky than a guy's like, I hated them and I hate it. I could understand the hate. I could understand that. No, this is just because, I just wanted to know. Why did you cut them apart? I just wanted to see what they look like on the inside. I mean, like, what? Come on, man. Just what? Yeah. Anyway, I've never understood the whole hate crime thing. A crime is a crime. And the more heinous the crime, the more reprehensible the crime, the bigger the punishment should be. Up to and including you get the lead pill. You get a lead pill and you get a lead pill. And that would save us some problems out there. Like this guy trying to set these people on fire. That guy, no, full on lead pill right there. Full on Full on. We are done. I'm done talking about that. You're done right there. All right. Let's see. What else? What are the stories? What are the stories? Oh, did you hear the story about the mom? I have so many questions about this story. This happened in Indianapolis. A mom who shot a child molester when she walked in on him attempting to rape her daughter, her 12-year-old daughter. And there's no charges for her. Turns out this guy was already a 2 or 3 time loser. He was already convicted of 2 previous child molestation cases. And for this go around, he was facing multiple charges, including attempted rape, attempted child molestation, unlawful possession of a firearm by a felon, and confinement of a victim under 14 years old. I mean, did you hear about this? But I still have a lot of questions about this story to begin with. So, oof. All right, let's kick this off. We got to get back to the SCOTUS story. I've been promising that for an hour and a half. We got to get to it here. So let's go. The Michael Duke Show, Common Sense Radio. Let's do this
thing. What the hell's an assault weapon? What isn't? If I assault you with a penguin, doesn't that make it an assault weapon? Does this mean that if we hurt your feelings, you'd consider the Michael Dukes Show assault radio? Okay, we can live with that. Here's Michael Dukes.
All right, welcome back to the program. It is Firearms Friday, your chance to sound off on issues of a two-way nature. Phone lines are open, 319-527-3864. But this is the story that I've been teasing since we started the show this morning. I've got to get to it. Got to get to it. So after considering them at 15 consecutive conferences, the Supreme Court on Monday declined to take up 2 challenges to gun control laws, one in Maryland and one in Rhode Island. In each case, 3 justices indicated they would have granted the petition for review, but they need 4. They need 4. This is, and the fact that Brett Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett both declined to hear these cases is jaw-dropping to me. Jaw-dropping. In the Snopes case, the court declined to decide whether Maryland's ban on semi-automatic rifles violates the Second Amendment right to bear arms, the AR or the AK. The Maryland legislature enacted that law back in 2013 after the Sandy Hook situation. The full Court of Appeals agreed to consider a new challenge in 2024 after they had rejected a challenge to the law in 2017. That was after the Bruin decision. But apparently the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fourth Circuit decided that the assault weapons were not protected by the Second Amendment's right to bear arms at all because they are, in essence, military-style weapons designed for sustained combat operations and are ill-suited and disproportionate to the needs of self-defense. To which I would say, it would seem like military-style rifles are designed specifically in the need for self-defense. I mean, you just... Anyway, the challenges to the court, the court got, the Supreme Court got asked to take up the case. And, of course, the challengers to the law said, hey, look, the AR-15s are the best-selling rifles in the country. They're owned by millions of Americans and account for approximately 20% of all firearm sales in the last decade. Justices Samuel Alito and Neil Gorsuch indicated they would have granted the challenger's petition. Clarence Thomas wrote a polite but scathing, I guess I would say polite but scathing review, dissent on this. Now, Brett Kavanaugh, who penned the what do they call that? The affirmation, the assent. He penned the decision. He suggested, he said, quote, millions of Americans own AR-15s and that a significantly majority of the states allow possessions of those rifles. He says the challengers have a strong argument that AR-15s are in common use by law-abiding citizens and therefore protected by the Second Amendment. He posited that indeed under this court's precedents, the Fourth Circuit decision is questionable and that the court's decision not to take up the case should not be interpreted as an endorsement of it. Essentially saying, well, we think this is kind of hanky, but just because we're not going to talk about it or deal with it right now doesn't mean that we agree, but we're going to put it off. He said this court should and presumably will address the AR issue soon in the next term or two. How long is the term? It's in the next term. We're not going to deal with this now. I'm sorry. I should have asked this. Not the term. Anyway, I don't. He says in the next term or two. I don't know what that term is. I don't know how long it is, but some commentary said something like this is going to push this down the road 5 to 10 years. 5 to 10 years of people's rights being violated because you didn't feel like picking this up is insane. Now we're going to get into Thomas's dissent on this here in a minute. The other one was in Rhode Island. It was the case that Fred and I in part were just talking about. It's Ocean State Tactical versus Rhode Island, where it was a challenge to Rhode Island's ban on large capacity magazines. Basically, you can't get a magazine in Rhode Island that has more than 10 rounds. And there was no grandfathering. If you had magazines that had more than 10 rounds, you had 6 months to modify them or get rid of them. So a bunch of people filed suit. The first court cases basically said that Rhode Island does not place any meaningful burden on the right to bear arms for self-defense. Civilians, quote, rarely, if ever, have to use the rapid and uninterrupted discharge of many shots, much less more than 10. This is from the First Circuit Court's decision. They just don't. Anyway, the court has decided that they're not going to take that one up either. And it leaves that First Circuit decision in place, which still allows them to have guns, but they just can't get a magazine more than 10 rounds. But don't worry, the state is going to take care of that by outlawing semi-automatic weapons on top of that, semi-automatic firearms on top of that. And of course, the state of Rhode Island made the same argument that we've been hearing lately, that the ban does not burden gun owners' Second Amendment rights because the magazines are only accessories for guns and not arms. That's like saying it's like saying an engine is an accessory to a car. It don't work without the accessory. It's not an accessory. An accessory is a forward grip or an optic or a device, some kind of device that helps you shoot better or something. Those are accessories. Saying that a magazine is an accessory is like saying gas is an accessory to a car. I mean, but this, that's what they do. Now, Justice Thomas, his dissent was blistering, respectfully, blistering. He points out the fundamental errors made by the Fourth Circuit in upholding Maryland's ban on semi-automatic rifles and shotguns. In the first part, he argues that the appellate court improperly placed the burden on proving the law unconstitutional on the plaintiffs when it's actually up to the state itself to prove that the ban fits within the national tradition of firearms ownership. Thomas also said the Fourth Circuit also screwed up when it asserted that AR-15s aren't protected by the Second Amendment because they're dangerous and unusual weapons. He said weapons in common use today for self-defense are fully protected, according to Brune. The Fourth Circuit nevertheless eschewed any inquiry into the commonality of AR-15s and the purposes for which they are used, which is dismissed as an ill-conceived popularity test. Instead, the court performed its own independent investigation of AR-15's utility for self-defense, examining their military origin, firepower, and muzzle velocity, among other features. Our Constitution allows the American people, not the government, to decide which weapons are useful for self-defense. Quote, a constitutional guarantee subject to future judges' assessments of its usefulness is no constitutional guarantee at all. In line with that principle and with the tradition of prohibiting only dangerous and unusual weapons, we've never relied on our own assessment of how useful an arm is for self-defense before deeming it protected. In Heller, we found handguns protected because that class of arms is overwhelmingly chosen by American society for the lawful purposes of self-defense. In Cayetano, we recognized that stun guns were protected arms solely because they were not unusual. And again in Bruin, we found handguns protected solely because they are in common use today for self-defense, without inquiring whether they are in fact useful for that purpose. The dissent is great. If you haven't, you should go back and read the dissent on this. The bottom line is it's going to take some time and effort. Maybe Amy Coney Barrett can be swayed. There are, it's pretty clear there are 4 votes to overturn the assault weapons ban and declare them unconstitutional. We just got to get them on the same page to deal with all this stuff, because this right now, this is a small loss for us, but I think it's a delay more than a loss. But we'll see. We'll see what goes on. These cases, these courts around the country are fingering, sending their middle finger to the Supreme Court. And eventually, I think the Supreme Court's going to push back on it. But we'll see what happens here. All right, we are out of time. We got to go. The Michael Duke Show. Common Sense Radio, Hour 2, dead ahead.
Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay. All right. Okay. Man, I get so fired up. Thomas is really, he writes so well. Like I said, in kind of a respectful way, yet at the same time, basically grabbing them by the scruffs of their collars and going, you idiots. Man, so good. All right. Laughing at Art by Carla's post in light of today's discussion. I haven't seen it. I'll have to go. Let me go pull it up real quick. Let me go pick up Art by Carla, because she is in light of today's discussion. Is that the one that she just posted? Is that the one you're talking about? All right. We got to go. Oh man. It was Killdozer Day. I missed saying happy Killdozer Day. All right. All right. Thank you, Brian, for the chuckle. Thank you for the chuckle. All right. Let me see what else Cajun boudin sausage. Ooh. Echo Lake Meats on K Beach has it. Cajun boudin. Yeah, Echo Lake Meats is like my new favorite go-to. In fact, that was my breakfast this morning, was a couple of sausage sticks from Echo Lake Meats before the show got started. They have got some amazing stuff over there. He did this one, and I can't remember I forget what it's called every time, but it was some kind of Brazilian, some kind of, I can't even remember what it was. Basically, it was beef with this Brazilian char thing on it. So good. Oh man. Wow. Anyway, I'm hungry. Now I'm hungry. Those beef sticks were 2 hours ago. I'm ready for something new. All right. What else we got? I just made some pork boudin. Has pork butt, red, yellow, orange, green peppers roasted on the grill, oven roasted garlic, green onions, cheese, wild rice, stuff in the coatings. Man, they turned out good. The Alaska fish processors. Hey Frank, how long do those when you make those sausages, how long do those last in the fridge, and how well do they freeze? Because I'm thinking about, I need to get some more of those. I need to get some more of those kimchi sausages. Yes, I said kimchi sausages. And so how long do they stay fresh in the fridge? And can they be frozen and then thawed out? I asked this the other day, but you didn't answer. I don't know if you weren't on board anymore or not, but it's a question I've been thinking about. I want to hear what you have to say. Okay, let's get ready. My phone is set up. Willie is waiting in anticipation. We're ready to go here. It's really nice outside, says Rick, although a little cool up this way. 38 earlier, but the sun, that's the ticket. Yeah. I stepped out on the back porch this morning. It was probably 42, 43 degrees, but you could feel just even this morning a little bit of heat coming out of that sun. And by midday, it's going to be gorgeous. It's going to be gorgeous. So I'm really looking forward to that. Another beautiful day in paradise. Okay, well, I'm ready to shift gears. I'm ready to shift gears to the movies. I'm going to talk to Willie about, started watching Mobland. Wow. Just, wow. Mind-boggling. I'm sure Willie and I will get into that as well. All right. Well, Frank is ignoring me now, so we'll just have to find that out on our own. Please like and share, like and follow, do all the YouTube-y stuff, and get ready. And again, if you should come down to Harbor Fest this weekend, if you're not doing anything else. I'm looking forward to it. Dirtwire. That's going to be a late concert. I'm going to be up late on Saturday. All right, here we go. Let's get to it. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty base, free thinking radio. Let's get to it. Here we go. Well, I was a little ahead of myself. Sorry. I'm trying to time it so that we come back right when right. I mean, that's okay. All right, here we go. Okay. Yep. We're just fingers crossed. Everything. Come on, baby. Please hold together. That's all we can ask. It's Friday. Big day tomorrow. Again, come out and join me at Harbor Fest here in Homer. It's going to be a beautiful day. I don't know if it is or not, but it's going to be a beautiful day because we've got lots of stuff going on. It's going to be fun. But before we get into any of that, let's get into the entertainment stuff. Willie Waffle, wafflemovies.com, joins us this morning to discuss. Hello, my friend. How are you?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm excited about the weekend. I'm excited about having some free time. Gonna party. Gonna party hard.
The party. That's what Willie's known for. He's the party animal. Anyway, let's get to it. We got a lot of stuff to cover today. And so I guess we'll get to the news first. And just because I love you, brother, I'll talk about the Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy. Okay, go ahead. Give me the. I know I could care less, but you've got it all down. Give it to me now.
Huge news for fans of the Wheel and Jeopardy. Okay, so you know that they do stream, but it's always past seasons. It's never like the show from last night. Oh, but that is going to change this season. This fall, you will be able to watch last night's Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy the next day on Peacock and Hulu for the first time in their history.
And you are so excited about this, man.
I really am.
You are way
I'm
too
totally
excited.
Pumped.
Way too excited about it. I never understood game shows. I mean, I've watched some. Don't get me wrong. I've watched some. I've watched a few. But, it was only like it was a time filler for me. It was never like, oh, it's destination TV. But some people, man, Wheel of Fortune, Jeopardy, we're going to watch the Wheel. We're going to watch the Family Feud. I mean, I'm just like, okay, whatever.
I think for me, it's the competitive nature. Like, for Jeopardy, like I actually have been to tapings of Jeopardy, by the way. I don't know if I've ever told you that. I actually saw them do Jeopardy, and I don't know if I've ever told you this story.
Uh-oh.
I tried to get on Jeopardy and I did okay on the test, and I thought they would call me because they ask you when you take the test online, like, do you have a good story to tell? And the story I said is, I will tell you all how Alex Trebek took a job from me.
Okay.
And they never called.
And they never
come on.
Okay.
It's a great story. I will tell you the story sometime.
Oh, yeah, no, you've told us the story. I remember you telling me the story.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, good.
Yeah, you were going to be the MC, and then they swooped in and said, sorry, kid, we got Alex Trebek to do
here's Alex Trebek.
Yeah. You can't even be mad at that point, right? You just can't even be
No,
mad.
I can't.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I wanted to. I literally, because I tried to get on when he was still hosting, and I'm thinking, because this is the greatest setup line for Alex Trebek ever.
Right.
I mean, he's gonna like throw out some hilarious punchline, and it's gonna be great, and everyone's gonna laugh, and I want that moment, but I never got that moment.
All right.
Passed me by.
Well, Willie, it's a sad, sad day, but at least you get to watch Jeopardy next day on the stream. Okay. This really tells my age. I remember watching Back to the Future in the theaters. I mean, it's such a classic tale. It's just so good. And now, God, I hate to say it, 40th anniversary is just a month away. 40 years. I mean, wow. But there's some backstory going on here too. They're actually looking for the public's help for this 40th celebration.
Yeah, this is actually this could be a very interesting story if it actually pays off. So you remember he had that really cool Gibson guitar. Okay, for people who are into guitars, it was a cherry red Gibson ES 345, and he played Johnny B. Good on it, and I think there was another song that he played on it. I mean, this is like the climax of Back to the Future,
right?
And that guitar has been missing for years, so they're gonna try to find it.
Crowdsource.
So like Universal and Gibson and this director are gonna do a documentary. And they're going to try to find the guitar. And matter of fact, they even said, if you have a lead on where it is, give us the tip on our website. Because, it was originally, I guess, like rented from this big guitar shop in LA.
Right.
And then like somebody bought it, then they sold it back, and then somebody bought it. And this was back in like, the 80s when we didn't keep records about these things.
Right.
It's just disappeared into the wind. And there's a lot of Back to the Future memorabilia that's been out there and for sale over the years. I even bid on a little bit of it.
Right.
Why not? Right. And this is one thing that nobody knows where it is. It's there's something very unique about the guitar. Like if you really have the guitar, you'll be able to explain what it is. And I'm like, I want to see this story. I want to see them find this guitar. I want to know where it's been all these years. This sounds like a perfect streamer documentary, man.
Yeah.
It just sounds perfect.
And it's called what? Lost to the Future? Is that what it is?
Lost to the Future. That's
Okay.
a great title.
That is
God,
a great.
that's
It's a great title. Yeah, it is. And again, somebody's probably got it sitting in their garage, or they gave it to some kid. I mean, like you said, it was bought back in the '80s. Who knows? And no provenance, so they don't have any. They don't have any idea of where it went. And now they were going to try and crowdsource it. And now you did bid on some. I remember we talked about this when you did, because you had bid on some Back to the Future stuff. What did you try and get?
I tried to get, okay, first of all, a lot of this stuff was out of my price range. I'm not going to lie, okay? What I really, really, really wanted, the license plate from the DeLorean.
Oh.
The one that said out of time, that kind of like, remember when the DeLorean speeds off at the end of the movie and it falls off and it spins around? Not one of the replicas, okay? You can buy the replica on Amazon.
Right.
Anybody can get the replica.
Right.
I was bidding on the real deal, baby. And I thought it was Mr. Big Spender. I bid up to $500.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the thing went for like $8,000.
Yeah, I was just going to say it probably went for 10 times that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay. So if anybody in Alaska just happened to buy this guitar in California and brought it up here, then maybe we can find out about it. But when's this Lost to the Future documentary coming out?
Well, they got to find the guitar first.
Oh, okay. All right.
I think it's dependent on finding the guitar, because that would be a horrible documentary.
Right.
If they just did a documentary about, well, we had this lead and it didn't pan, and we had this lead and that didn't pan out. That's not a good ending to a documentary.
Oh, that's great, man. That's great. All right. Well, we'll figure it out. We'll keep listening and see what's going on. All right. What else we got here? Clint Eastwood is angry. Get off my lawn. But he's angry over the phone. What? He's phone angry? What's going on?
Well, he's angry about a phony interview. Yes. Over the weekend. So it was his 95th birthday last weekend, like on Sunday. And this Austrian publication, The Courier, ran a interview with Clint Eastwood, where he criticized Hollywood for remakes and getting involved in franchises, and said, hey, I shouldn't even be getting out of bed if I'm not making something original. Like I got to do some new stuff. And of course, this raised a lot of hackles. People were like, oh my God, Clint's laying it down at 95, tearing down the Hollywood culture.
Right.
And Clint came out and said, I didn't say that stuff. I didn't do an interview. And it turns out he is right. So what happened was, this writer, Elizabeth Serrata, she is with the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, the guys who bring in the Golden Globes,
right,
says that she compiled these various quotes from Clint Eastwood press conferences that he had been doing with the Hollywood Foreign Press Association from as far back as 1976.
Holy cow. So she's like in the Wayback Machine and then pretends like it's an interview.
Yeah. And there's a lot of countries. She seems to think that she didn't write it to make it sound like it was a real, current interview, and the paper kind of pulled the story because maybe they overplayed their hand. Who knows what happened? All I know is, if that's what they really did, then it should have been like a montage. It should have been like a picture of Clint Eastwood and various quotes with their sources. But this sounds like they just wrote an article, and that's not the way you play press, people. Not the way you do it.
Although I will applaud all his quotes in that thing, because he's lived by that. He's really never done. I think the closest thing he did to a franchise was like the
Dirty
Westerns,
Harry stuff,
the Dirty Harry and the Westerns,
yep.
right? So, but I mean, that was about all he ever did. Everything else has been super original, and so I'm good for him. Good for him for standing up.
Well, and the thing is, so the quotes came from the early 80s, the really hot ones, where he did say, I had done some of the Dirty Harry movies. We did have sequels there. Yep, you're right. But I'm not doing that anymore. I don't think that's the direction Hollywood should go in. He talked about how they packaged together a lot of his spaghetti westerns into a quote unquote franchise. He said, that didn't really seem fair, but hey, they were paying me and I needed the money, but,
right.
And I think since then you've seen it's been original movie after original movie after original movie, doing some really great stuff. I mean, Unforgiven, my God, Unforgiven is still one of the best Westerns you'll ever see in your life.
Yeah.
Even that Juror movie he did last fall was pretty good.
Yeah.
So.
He's an amazing actor and director. The guy's he's a true threat to Hollywood. All right. Last thing, I hear there's news about Tulsa King. Give it to me.
All right. So just broke last evening. When Tulsa King premieres, there is going to be a character and a story that they want to spin off into the NOLA King. Yes, they're going to have a spin-off show from the Tulsa King called NOLA King. And the man who will be the NOLA King, Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh my gosh. Oh wow. Okay. All right. I'm in.
That would be cool. I'm there.
I'm in.
That would be. I want to see that.
Man. All right. Well, that'll be good. That's some great stuff. All right. Well, we're running some tightness here. So we've got Ballerina, Department Q, and the Stick. I got about 4 minutes here. So start where you need to.
All right. Well, then let's talk about Ballerina and Department Q, because the Stick is kind of blah. It's an Apple TV series with Owen Wilson. He's a washed-up ex-golfer who tries to mentor this young kid and thinks he can take him to success. It's like two waffles. Okay, it's done.
All right, it's done.
Let's talk about Ballerina.
Okay.
Yes, Ana de Armas is the ballerina who becomes an assassin who seeks revenge for her father's death. And why do we care? Because the technical title is From the World of John Wick, Ballerina.
Right.
Yes. This is from the people who brought you John Wick. This is from that world. Why? When she was young, she was rescued by Winston Scott. She was placed under the care of Angelica Houston. She was trained with the Ruska Roma. She learned all their skills, and now she wants to use them to take down the people who killed her father.
Oh, man.
And yes, John Wick shows up.
Oh, does he? Okay, so tell me. I mean, I know you're not a huge Wick fan. I know
I'm not.
But how did this do though? Don't be non-biased here. How did it do?
To me, it's a John Wick movie. Okay, it's got tons of over-the-top action, tons of killing, tons of fight scenes, tons of stuff blowing up. You got all that. You're going to be happy.
I'm going to be happy.
I think where it falls short on the story, which is always my argument with the John Wick movies. I feel like the plot doesn't matter. I feel like, they didn't really develop her character as much as they could have. I just feel like it's, hey, let's do some action scenes and let's keep teasing that John Wick is going to show up, because this movie technically takes place during John Wick 3.
Oh, okay. All right. So we'll get some feel for it.
I'm around 2 waffles.
Okay.
I'm at 2 waffles.
Which is what you've done for just about
borderline.
Yeah, you've done that about every Wick movie. It's about 2 waffles for you. So that's okay. I got you.
Yeah.
I know where you're coming from on that. But I mean that's great. I mean, and Anna, did they set it up for a sequel? Of course, is my question.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Without a doubt. And to be honest with you, I thought the setup for the sequel was kind of a cool idea.
All right, good. Well, I'll be ready to watch that. Ballerina in theaters right now. That leaves us with Department Q, about 2 minutes. Department Q, the new Netflix series with one of my favorite actors, Matthew Good. You probably don't know who he is, but he's a great actor. Give it to me here.
Department Q is like my favorite show that I've seen this year. I mean, like, it would be like this, Paradise. Those were 2 shows I really, really loved. Department Q is Matthew Good as the House of Detectives. Okay, he's as acerbic as he is brilliant. And after this horrible tragedy, he comes back to work and he wants to find out who committed the crime that took him out of work. But they instead sentence him to the basement to follow cold cases.
Okay.
Basically, they're trying to get rid of him and get him out of the way. And as he dives into his first cold case, let's just say he starts uncovering all sorts of stuff about all sorts of people that ain't going to be good for anybody in power. Okay. It is brilliant. I love the dialogue. It's just got such comedy and intelligence and edge. It's a really great mystery. And in like any good cold case, they have like these little kind of trails they go down, and different stories that they're following, different leads they're following, making you wonder, well, who really was responsible for what happened in the cold case, and what's gonna happen? And it keeps your mind going, it keeps your brain moving, and I think it's also beautiful to watch this guy building a fellow team of outcasts. All the people that nobody wants around, they end up on his team, and they're awesome. I'm at 4 waffles.
4 waffles.
I loved it.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good enough for me. And that's it for the weekend, my friends. We'll see you at Harbor Fest. And then on Monday, have a great one. Four waffles. I can't remember the last time you gave something 4 waffles. It's been a hot minute. So it
God,
must
it's
be
so
really
good, though. It's 9 episodes long. I watched them in the one weekend.
Oh,
and what you're not being told, people in the audience. So, we talked about last week. I really want to check this show out. I think it might be cool. I watched the first episode. Immediately, I'm texting Dukes. I'm like, dude, this is awesome.
Yeah,
I am hooked. I am in this thing like right now. This is a great show, and it just kept getting better and better and better. So I watched all 9 episodes all last weekend.
Yeah,
I did the whole thing.
Well, that sounds like me. That sounds like me last night, because I finally decided to Terry and I'm like, all the episodes are dropped. Let's go ahead and start watching Mobland, which is the new Guy Ritchie series on Paramount
Plus.
Yep. It stars Pierce Brosnan, Helen Mirren, and Tom Hardy. And I'm like, okay, talk about a powerhouse. And then I'm like, okay, so we'll just watch, we'll watch an episode or so, Well, last night I watched 3 episodes, and then I had to physically get up. I said, I have to go to bed. It's almost 10 o'clock. I've got to go to bed because I got to get up in 5 hours, or whatever. And I'm like, okay. So anyway, it was, I'm going to finish watching it this weekend. That is also an amazing, if you're a Guy Ritchie fan, this is not as kind of stylistic or flashy, but the story is so good and so gritty. It is amazing. Mobland on Paramount Plus. And now I'm going to add Department Q to my list here as well. And we're going to watch that. It's when you could get some good television, that's some good stuff in. I really like that.
I feel lucky, like this year, like I was thinking about this, like Department Q, I loved. Paradise, I loved. The Pit, I loved. There's been some really good series this year. Like, and you throw Mobland in there, that's a heck of a powerhouse. I mean, you got enough television there to last a few months.
Oh yeah, I mean, you get you had Reacher.
I was gonna say, Reacher. Oh my God, which is so good.
Yeah, yes. you had Reacher. You had of course, Tulsa King going on out there. Navy SEALs, the final season came out this year. Poker Face just came out with the season 2. That was a really good show. I mean, there's a lot of really good original type television, which is what, again, I really like. Television at least seems to be going for more originality. And it's been a good run so far. Tracker, that one was pretty good. That's more popcorn than everything else, but it was good.
Well, and Stranger Things is coming back.
Oh, I saw the trailer. Yes, I'm like,
I know.
Oh man.
For those who are listening, that Thanksgiving, like November, right around Thanksgiving, that's when the season will start. They'll give you a few episodes. Then they're going to give you a few more on Christmas. Then the finale will air on December 31st, New Year's Eve.
It's going to be
it's going to be pretty awesome.
It's going to be a good time to do the wind up into November to watch the first seasons again, and then to watch because this is the final season.
This is it. This is the end.
They're wrapping it up, and so then I'll get a chance to watch, because I take Christmas to New Year's off. I'll get a chance to watch all the last episodes that last week. So I'm looking forward to it. All right, what's up next week, my friend? What's going on?
Next week, they're going to do a live action version of How to Train Your Dragon.
Okay.
And I'm looking for anything else. I mean, just please help me. I'm looking. There's some things I'm trying to check out.
Anything.
So hopefully we'll bring you something more entertaining. I want to see that Tom Hiddleston movie, and The Life of Chuck. That's the one I really want to see. It's kind of limited release this week. and they're going to bring it out a little bit more next week. I'm kind of curious about that. So,
Okay.
hopefully we'll have something better than just How to Train Your Dragon, because I'm sorry, that's not live action.
No.
That's just taking all the characters that I saw in the animated and dropping them in here with some actors.
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's DreamWorks trying to pick up on Disney's success on some of those things. So we'll see. All right, Willie. Well, thank you so much, my friend. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, talk to you then.
All right, folks, that's it. I'm going to see you guys later. If you're down in the Southern Peninsula, come out again. Harbor Fest tomorrow. We'll see you. Be kind, love one another, live well. Have a great weekend.
We've shed our terrestrial radio skin, and now we are slimy lizard internet people. It's the Michael Duke Show.
Bye.